and happening around data governance conversations, data governance dialogue. And I'm honored to be your moderator for today's session. And thrilled also to see that many people are joining, among also our speakers who are among us today. So my name is Yusra Kalali, and I work as a Senior Advocacy Officer at NIYEL. Whoever who don't know NIYEL, we're an international advocacy firm who's working on public policies and advocacy communication on different sectors like artificial intelligence, data, human rights, women's rights, but also immunization and leadership. I'm very happy to welcome you all here. But before we dive into this rich content that we have lined up for you, I would like to take a moment to go over a few housekeeping items that will allow us to ensure that we make the most of our time together. There is always challenges with online meetings, though. But I'm very confident that all of us here to interact. So let's talk about interactions. This webinar is really not just about the speakers sharing their knowledge, but it's also about fostering a vibrant exchange of ideas among all of us. So I would invite all the participants to don't hesitate to use the chat box or the Q&A feature throughout the session. If you're not allowed to do so, you can just write to us in the chat box and the technical team could support to open the chat box for you. Whether you have questions or thoughts to share or just you want to say hello or from where are you joining us, your active participation is really highly encouraged. Of course, I'm sure that the conversation will be kept respectful and inclusive to all of us. We come from different and diverse backgrounds. So that's something to celebrate first, but also let's engage with each other with empathy, kindness, and open mind. Of course, any form of discrimination or harassment will not be tolerated, and our team is here to ensure that everyone feels safe and valued within this conversation. Thirdly, the technical issues happen to the best of us. So if you encounter any difficulties with the audio, the video, especially our speakers, when you come to intervene, just let us know. And our colleagues from Policy, the tech support team will help us in that. They are standing by to assist us in that. Unfortunately, the interpretation is not available as planned, but in case there are Francophone or Anglophone interventions, we can support in translation among us, and we can help in that as well. Hopefully, and lastly, I encourage you really to make the most of this opportunity, to take notes, to ask questions, and to connect with the fellow attendees, and most importantly, to let the insights and ideas shared today inspire you to take action in your respective fields, mainly related to data governance. So with that said, I'm truly excited about what lies ahead. We have an incredible lineup of speakers who are experts in their fields, who are ready to share their knowledge and insights with us. And once again, I would like to welcome all of you to this conversation, and I'm happy to see that a lot of people are joining us in this webinar. And I could say let's embark on this learning journey together, make it truly a good experience for all of us. I'll hand over first to our speakers, all of them, to introduce themselves briefly before we delve into the conversation and to the serious matters. So I'll hand over first to Madame Maimouna Dia Diop to introduce yourself very briefly.
Thank you, Yusra. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Thank you. Morning, evening to everybody, and thanks to NIYEL and Pollicy for this opportunity to exchange data, transparency, and accountability. My name is Maimouna Diop. I'm from Senegal, and I define myself as an activist in IT. On this field since more than 25 years. Now I'm working with Force N, which is a program for a digital skill for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Maimuna. Renato Berino Malacorto. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Over to you.
Thank you so much. I hope you can hear me well. Yeah, perfect. Because I was having some problems with the audio. Great. My name is Renato. I'm from Argentina, but I'm based in Madrid in this moment. And I'm a lawyer and I have a master's degree in public administration. And I work in Open Data Charter, mainly conducting research. Open Data Charter is a global civil society organization that was born 10 years ago, trying to work with governments and civil society organizations and also academy to help governments on how to collect, publish, and reuse data in open formats. So this topic is really, really relevant for us, and we are really happy to be here sharing some ideas with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Renato. Victor, over to you.
Hello, everyone, and I'm happy to join you. My name is Victor Werimo, as it may have been mentioned. I am from Kenya, but right now I'm based in Belgium. I'm a student of public policy, e-governance, and innovation in the public sector. That's what I study, and most of my research is around this area of work as well, working with the Open Data Charter. Thank you.
Welcome to all of you. We have also another two speakers, Mr. Mamadou Gorge and Dr. Diallo. I'm not sure if they are here yet, but yeah, I'm not sure if they joined us yet, but I'm sure they're coming. So we will come back to them when they are online. But I will be on standby for my colleague Angel to give us a heads up when they join, so that we allow them also to introduce themselves as we go within the conversation.
Yes, Yosra. With Angela, we are trying to contact them so that they can join, and as soon as they do, we will let you know. Thank you.
That would be great. Thank you very much, Rachel. Before we delve into the conversation, I would like perhaps one colleague from policy, I don't know, Rachel or you, Philip, if he's here, to briefly introduce policy, our partner and collaborator on this data governance dialogue series, as we work together to implement the Africa Data Governance Hub, which is an inter-African initiative to really reunite and bring people together, experts, researchers, policymakers, decision makers, to dive in data governance topics, and also to share experiences and best practices. So policy team, I saw Philip coming out. Yes, here he is.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Yosra. And thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Good afternoon, good morning from wherever you're joining. My name is Philip Ayazika, speaking to you from Kampala, Uganda. It's a bright, sunny day, and the weather is good, and I hope everyone is okay. Amidst everything that is going on globally, we know that civil society organization and everyone and the different players that are contributing to key work like this on data governance, digital rights, and very many other sectors like health, are facing challenges following the global, changes in the global funding landscape. But we hope that we can find resilient ways and strategies to maneuver. You're welcome to our third webinar, as fourth, right? Fourth, as part of the Africa Data Dialogues, which is a series of conversations that we've been putting together, Pollicy and NIYEL, over the past couple of months, working with the different experts, different practitioners, different researchers, to kind of map out what does the data governance landscape look like across Africa. So we've been tackling things like gendered approaches to data governance. Today we're talking about transparency and accountability. We've had conversations around the role of data in combating TFGBV, and many more conversations are going to be coming up. And I can see that there's several people that have been joining us religiously. We thank you so much for making the time, and we hope that you can get the very best out of today as well. I know that I use the term experts, but we are not experts. I think you, as the people joining us, you are the experts. So please Let's collaborate. Feel free to chip in with the relevant case studies from your area where you come from to see that we kind of add value to this conversation. Pollicy is a civic tech organization. We work at the intersection of data, design, and technology. Our work tends to take on and look at technology, emerging technology, and data from a gendered angle. So we try to look at issues of emerging technologies, AI, to see how does technology intersect with gender. So that's the work that we do, and we have a pleasure to host you together with NIYEL. Thank you so much, and enjoy the session. Back to you, Yusra.
Thank you very much, Philip, for this brief introduction about Pollicy. I'm sure most of the participants here know about Pollicy and what they are doing in terms of data governance. Hopefully also that in the next conversations, we will have more chance to deep dive into what NIYEL Pollicy are doing so that more people can come together and that they are aware and familiar with the Africa Data Governance Hub and that they see it as a really relevant and insightful platform to share their work, initiatives, propositions, but also to interact and network together. And sorry for the background noise. I have a baby around me, so who is present in all meetings. So without further ado, as all of you might know, this webinar comes following a series of policy briefs that were developed by a number of consultants, researchers, and experts working with NIYEL and Pollicy related to data governance topics. One of the policy briefs that we are discussing today in this conversation is on transparency and accountability as trust builders in the Africa data governance ecosystem that was developed and written by Renato and Victor, who are present here to us today, and reviewed also by Maria Maimouna, who is also one of the advisory council members of the Africa Data Governance Hub. So we're very happy to have you all of you together here. And before we dive deep into the innovative initiatives that contribute to develop transparency and accountability in data governance, I would like to start first with Renato and Victor to talk about their paper, the policy brief, about the research process, which I congratulate you first for the insightful paper you have developed and launched through the Africa Data Governance Hub. I'm sure that the link will be available soon for the policy brief so that everyone can consult. And you can also still visit it through the Africa Data Governance Hub website that maybe Rachel or Angel can share in the chat box. So I will start. I'll come back to Victor, to Renato, mainly as you worked on the policy brief on accountability and transparency. Your research focused on how open data government can govern more efficiently using open data. And it would be very insightful to know more about from you. How can you about this, and how do you think governments should emphasize citizens' participation in open data, in open government, looking, of course, at the regional and national dynamics nowadays. So it would be also an opportunity to go deeper in the challenges and the risks of the lack of transparency and accountability when it comes to open data, and how you tackled that in your paper on transparency and accountability. So I'll hand over to Renato so that you can answer it.
Perfect. Thank you so much for the introduction and for the question. Maybe I will take 1 or 2 minutes just to contextualize a little bit of our work and our approach. As I was saying, we are part of Open Data Charter. It's an organization that works helping and trying to make governments accountable through open data, helping them know how to collect, publish, and reuse data. And we work on open data in specific topics, like, for example, core topics like anti-corruption and climate change, and also from the research area, that it's the area that I worked on. We try to expand a little bit the topic on the relation of open data with digital rights, for example, trying to understand the balance between access to information and data protection, and also nowadays in artificial intelligence, trying to understand the data needs and the data quality of the data that fits those kind of systems. And I think this is important also for our approach. The organization was actually in the beginning a charter and then we became an organization. And this charter shows up 6 principles that governments can commit to, and also civil society organizations, on how to open up data. I'm going to just briefly mention the principles because we are going to be talking about some of them in our research. But then in the Q&A session, we can deep dive in some of them if we want. But the principles are, we say that the data should be open by default. When we say that, we are always, of course, aware that it should be in dialogue with data protection. There are some personal data or sensitive data that shouldn't be open by default. So we have to think and work in each specific case. Also, we say that data should be timely and comprehensive, accessible and usable, comparable and interoperable. And there are 2 other principles that we added. One of them is data should be open for improved governance and citizen engagement. And I think this principle is really, really important for the paper and for the question that you asked me. So we're going to deep dive a little bit more here. And also for inclusive development and innovation, when we talk about that, we are thinking on the global challenges that can be addressed nowadays through open data, like, for example, anti-corruption or climate action. I think those are like two really interesting points nowadays. So as I was saying, governments, this is just to give you a little bit of context, governments can adopt the charter. The truth is that I was checking before our meeting and also in the research, the only government in Africa that has formally adopted the charter is Sierra Leone. But we have some experience working in the region. We have worked with local governments in Morocco on access to information in environmental data, and also with an organization that's called Land Portal. We have worked in Madagascar and Senegal to implement our open up guide for land data. And with Kenya, we have worked on creating anti-corruption commitments for the Open Government Partnership. So there have been a few initiatives that were really interesting. So now the brief we worked on, this is our objective and our focus. So we were really interested in contributing in this brief on transparency and accountability as trust builders in the region. So we work in this brief with Victor, that is going to also share, is here present, and is going to also share some insights, and with the feedback of our advisor, of the council advisor, and also with the feedback of Pollicy and NIYEL. So when our approach was through open data, but also trying to have in mind that access to information is a human right, and it's a human right that it functions as a key of the right to know and the right to exercise other civil and political rights. So how we work on the policy brief, we conducted mainly desk research, trying to looking at regulations and websites on the regional level, and also in 5 specific countries that we have chosen from different geographical areas, different languages, and different levels of advances in these policies. The countries were South Africa, Kenya, Nigeria, the Democratic Republic of Congo, and Morocco. And now, properly answering the questions. We think, and I think it's really it's reflected on the policy brief, that citizens and civil society organizations can use data to engage with policymakers and advocate for change. And we couldn't deep dive in the brief a lot due to its length, but related to the principle of citizen participation that I was talking at the beginning when I was seeing the principles of the charter, we can say that through open data, we can move from a notion of passive transparency, that are the ways that access to information law were conceived at the beginning, to a notion of active transparency. So that the citizens or academia or the different stakeholders don't have to ask each time to the government to open up the information. And there are some specific topics, like mainly topics related to public integrity, like open procurement, open budget, that can be proactively published, and in this case in an open data format, so it's easier for the citizenship to use it. And so we think that open data is helpful there to change the flow of information. The passive transparency, when we are answering a request, the direction flows in a unidirectional way, and we think that in open data helps us to generate a bidirectional way of information flow. So the government opens proactively the information, and citizenship can use this information and also give feedback or do research or tackle some challenges. And here's what we call that it's like in the good cases of utilizations, we call that that the feedback loop is completed. So one of the questions that you were asking, how governments can emphasize citizen participation, taking into consideration the brief ideas. I'm going to bring just a few here, and then we can deep dive in the Q&A session. But I think that to emphasize citizen participation, one thing that we came across that is really needed is to increase the effort of governments to increase public awareness. Many citizens are unaware of their right to access to government data, so awareness campaigns are really essential and really related to this topic. I think that is really important to develop training programs and capacity building, especially when we are also it's necessary to exercise the right of access to information in any of the ways. But when we talk about open data, that it's digital information, and we know that the digital divide is a great problem. We need some capacity building both for civil servants and for citizens on how to access and use open data effectively. And when we were talking about this challenge and we were doing research, we found like a good example that it's in the brief of Kenya, the Kenya School of Government Access to Information curriculum. We saw that in 2022, the Kenya School of Government, in partnership with some CSOs in Kenya, designed an access to information curriculum for civil servants at different levels to equip them with the necessary skills to fulfill their roles in promoting the use and access of data. So this is, I think, a good example. And really related with these two topics of increasing public awareness and developing training programs, we came across to the fact that multi-stakeholder collaboration is really necessary to exercise this right. So we came across this example where government work with CSOs or with academia and private sector to try to improve data use and the effectiveness of the policy. Another thing we came across that it's a challenge that to enhance citizen participation in those topics is that we have to improve the usability of open data platforms. We saw that websites sometimes are not user-friendly and are not even updated. So we came across a few examples that are in the brief of more user-friendly platforms with search tools and visualizations that helps to understand the data. We came across two examples on South Africa, for example, developed by civil society. One is called South Africa Bulek Mali, when it's basically an open budget platform when you can track the budget and you can also look at visualizations to help you analyze it. And also another platform that is called WasiMap, that has a lot of demographic information and geographical data, and it helps us to compare different places using tables and maps and downloading the data. So I think those are two like really interesting examples. And we came across also that some of these platforms are only in English sometimes or only in French. So there's a barrier in the usability because of the language. So more diversity in the languages would be a really good point to improve the usability and the impact of the platforms. And two last ideas here, and then we can go on talking, but I don't want to make it any longer. But we came across, we analyzed the regional legal framework and also each country legal framework, and we came across that the national strategies should be more aligned with the regional frameworks, like the data policy framework of Africa or the Africa Data Consensus. These documents exist, but not in every case they have like good enforcement mechanisms. So we have to think in different strategies on how to dialogue between the regional and national legal frameworks and how to enforce and strengthen them. It can be through binding frameworks, sanctions for non-compliance, really strong oversight and regulatory bodies. There can be like different strategies. Also, these citizen-led accountability engagement programs that we were talking about. There are different ideas, but I think that's a really huge challenge when we talk about citizen participation. And I think for now I'm going to end up here so that also then Victor can comment, and then we can take it back if there's any question or any additional thought. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Renato. It was very insightful to know about the existing and the current initiatives that some of the governments you mentioned in your policy briefs already are initiating to increase the awareness, to emphasize citizens' participation in open data, and how citizens can participate and provide feedback, either relevant or significant to the policy process or the frameworks. I would go right away to Victor to ask him if, and I think most of us share here, like people nowadays are not fully aware of the powerful use of data and how it could affect their daily lives. While there is a lack of awareness, we also work on to promote citizens' trust. How do you think citizens and the public can speed up with the initiatives on open data that the governments are initiating or civil society as well are initiating? How do you think that the inclusive approach, including the different stakeholders, civil society, can contribute to effectively enhance accessibility, interpretability, and public awareness of open data initiatives as well? So I'll hand over to you, Victor.
Thank you so much. I think Renato has covered much of it, and I think what we can all agree is that in Africa, open data and public data in general suffers what I'd call the perception problem, in that it is seen as either too technical, not useful, or not trustworthy by the average citizen. So this is because of the lack of awareness, as you mentioned, and there are also issues of data literacy amongst citizens and also public officials, civil servants themselves not really understanding or having that capacity to understand. And then data inaccessibility, availability of this data as well at times is not so easy to find this data, and general historical distrust and privacy concerns of public institutions, which is a very common thing for African countries. But I've seen countries like South Africa through Vuleka Mali and Kenya just taking steps to make their information available, and but also without proactive public engagement and education, we've seen that these initiatives kind of remain unutilized. You might have a very nice portal with all the information, but if you don't involve the public, if you don't do awareness campaign, and if the citizens are not really in the knowledge of how to use this platform, then it's a lot of investment with no returns in place. So I'd say an all-inclusive multi-stakeholder approach, and that is including civil society, media, academia, and the private sector is essential to enhance accessibility, interoperability, and public engagement when it comes to open data initiatives. So and we from our research we found out that most and this is because thanks to the Open Government Partnership, that civil society organizations play a critical role in advocating for data transparency, and most of these initiatives are actually pushed by civil society organizations, and they also civil society have been advocating for data transparency and helping to translate these complex data sets into actionable insights for citizens, as you've seen with Buleka Mali from South Africa. And also, we've seen also collaboration between government and CSOs, as Renato has mentioned, in Kenya, to develop training programs for civil servants and ensuring that our civil servants understand their role in promoting data access. And so when it comes to implementing, we don't have issues of resistance to such. Then in Morocco, you have the Digital Development Agency, ADD, which has been organizing workshops to improve institutional open data capacities. Yeah, so in general, I'd say that by fostering partnership between governments and CSOs and private sector, open data initiatives can become more user-friendly and can be widely promoted and effectively integrated into citizens' daily lives. So we also need to standardize data formats across the regions, so to ensure that there's also multilingual accessibility and also and promoting open source tools, which can further enhance interoperability and ease of use. So making open data truly inclusive and impactful for governance and development. That's my take on this.
Thank you very much, Victor. I think you already tackled the main point, which is inclusion of civil society in providing the data, in proposing how data can use for government. Today, I think all of us agree that the governments, they enforce strict data protection measures in the title of safeguarding of sensitive information, of data, of personal, personal informations, of character of personal information, while maintaining a very cautious stand on accessibility, viewing that the accessibility of data is a threat to public security sometimes. So that's why it's very explained that the measuring and safeguarding measures. Thank you very much, Victor, Renato, for this overview. I would like also to remind our audience and participants that the link to the policy brief that Renato and Victor worked on and developed is shared in the chat box. You can access it through the Africa Data Governance Hub website, and also don't hesitate to ask questions and also to make a good read of the paper. We're lucky to have Madam Maimouna, who accompanied Victor and Renato in this journey, besides her extensive experience in policy development while working with the government of Senegal to increase literacy about internet access and digital spaces. I would like to come to you, Madam Maimouna, as a solution maker and a keeper, as they described you. Most of the platforms with over 20 years of experience supporting the government of Senegal in ICT, public policy, and illiterate public to connect to internet through local languages, through traditional channels. How do you think the public, especially vulnerable citizens, today can trust the open data government? And how do you think we can change the narratives around open data to ensure that everyone is included and has the right to access to information and to use it in their own good interest? So I'll hand over to you, Madam Maimouna.
Yes, and yeah, it's a pleasure to be there, and congratulations again to Renato and Victor for the wonderful job they're working on this policy. I'm used to support a government in Senegal, but also across Africa, to build sustainable trust on the data, but also to try people. We did a lot of work on digital upskilling, and that's a key issue on the trust on government open data. For me, this trust requires combination of things. The first is to enhance transparency and accessibility. We have to bit more about the adaptation of the format we use. Open data should be published in formats accessible to all, including local language, and it can help to help the geographical and illiterate population to read the data. The second is about the infrastructure. I think Victor and Renato said about the digital divide. It's a reality in Africa, and we need to integrate feature tailored to individuals with disabilities, visual motor to our digital public infrastructure. We are working on this, and we need to make them inclusive as possible. Another issue is the Senegalese citizens who are living in the rural areas. It's more than 58%, and the internet access on this area is a very, very big issue. We also need to have an independent data regulation body, which is that certify the quality, accuracy, and regular update of open data. This is a key component of Senegalese national data strategy we adopted 2 years ago. And we can also work on, having some kind of citizen feedback mechanism, which can be established to report inconsistent gap on the public data. And I really like the word used by Renato on this paper about the peace transparency. From the past transparency to an active one, because you need people to be part of this, to give them data and to accept to give them. They have to give the expectation on the use of the data and how we can use the data and upon it. And we also can work more on ethical and legal safeguards to have, for example, in Senegal, we are working on access to information law, which is pending in 2003. And I think we need to move forward on it. And the same, we are also another law pending, which is about that cybersecurity and data protection law. And I think the implementation of these laws could ensure transparency and data security. So the second question, how to reshape the narrative around open data and ensure fair and access to use. I think we need to work on 3 actions. The first is demystify data. What is data? I mean, every day we exchange our data with other people. Why could we exchange this data with our own government? That's the problem. And I think we need to really rethink on it, reframe the data as a empowerment tool and establish an inclusive regulatory framework. We need to use, communication, lot of communication with the people and documentation. And why not having some kind of, data ambassador who can use their local language, data and Taranga like this, and work with the population and communication channels like the television, radio, and local language. And for the inclusive regulatory framework, we can also force the public sector to publish their data. For example, we can say that by 2025, the publication will be the budget, survey, and the health will be 100% published. That can be, kind of activity we can use as government to give it. And at the end of the day, we need to mobilize people. We can do it by using a collaborative platform to monitor, for example, the sustainable development goals. That can be one way to be more inclusive. To conclude, I think to build trust and transform, we can use an integrated approach based on legalization, democratization, assembly representation, and the protection of our personal data.
Thank you very much, Madam Maimouna. I think you also addressed 3 key points that will allow to demystify data, as you mentioned, to governments, to policy decision makers, to public and citizens as well, when it comes to orientation, to reinforcement, or capacity building, through mobilization, and most importantly, partnerships and collaboration through an integrated approach, including civil society and different duty bearers and stakeholders as well. Thank you very much for this insightful key 3 actions that I'm sure that all of us agree on most of them, and also working towards that. I would like to remember our participants that if you have any questions or comments, don't hesitate to put them in the chat box. I see some of the interactions in the chat box with some of the participants sharing about their initiatives, their experiences. It would be great also to hear from you at the end of the interventions, to know the different initiatives in different African countries, but also across the globe. The 3 speakers, I think, Renato, Victor, and Madame Mahmouda, highlighted the importance of regulation and frameworks, and how they should be calling and emphasizing to open data governments, the use of it, the protection of data. So I think the regulations will facilitate our innovators, our startuppers, the young people who are initiating new applications to data governance, to enforce data governance, that will help them to implement this at the practical site. I would like to invite our next speakers as part of our deep dive into innovative initiatives in Africa that contribute to enhancing trust in data governance. We have with us Mr. Mamadou Mbouch, I hope I'm pronouncing the name correctly, and Dr. Diallo, who will be also sharing a presentation with us to present their innovative initiatives. I would like to start with Mr. Mamadou. Can you hear me well?
Yes, sir, I'm hearing you.
Great, thank you. So I thank you, Dr. Mamadou. I will allow you to introduce yourself first, and then Dr. Diallo, if you can also introduce yourself. Si vous pouvez vous présenter brièvement, et après on peut commencer avec les questions.
Okay, thank you, Yusra, for having me. I'm really pleased to be with you today to talk about data governance in Senegal and the different innovative projects that we are working on. So to present myself, my name is Mamadou Mbouch. I'm not Dr. Mbouch, I'm just Mamadou Mbouch, engineer in statistics and data scientist working at INSD. And I'm responsible for the Data Innovation Lab. I'm responsible for the Office of Research and Innovation. And the Data Innovation Lab is one of our projects, one of our main projects in the Office of Research and Innovation. So I will let my other colleague present himself, and after that we will go dive deeper in the subject. Thank you.
Bonjour à tous. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for the invitation. Thank you to everyone for joining. My name is Belko Abdulaziz Diallo. I'm a Burkinabe. I work for Wascal Competence Center, which is a scientific arm of Wascal. Wascal is based headquarters in Accra, and then a scientific arm, Scientific Competence Center in Burkina Faso, Ouagadougou. I'm a data management scientist, and I'm leading the data management department. And I'm glad to be here to share with you a few things about how. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Diallo. I think Dr. Diallo is Dr. Diallo, but hopefully, Mamadou, you will be doctor as well. So I would like to start with you. As your role in the Data Innovation Lab within ANSD, how does it contribute, how ANSD contribute to strengthening data governance and fostering innovation in your country? Also, how does Senegal's open data platform enhance transparency and data accessibility to the public, to citizens? What's the impact that has it had on decision making in the public and private sectors, and what you can tell us more about this?
Okay, thank you. So the Data Innovation Lab of INSD, let's say that it's an initiative from the last National Statistical Strategy that aims to, innovate in the production of statistics, of official statistics. And we are working on 2 key points. The first one will be, let's say, trying to innovate in the ways of production of official statistics within the national statistical system and putting the different stakeholders together to work and to address the same problematics. And the second point is trying to build a bridge between the national statistical system and the researchers or the private sector so that they can have more access to the data and they will have more participation. So in terms of data governance, in the Data Innovation Lab, we are working to build sustainable systems in terms of infrastructure and also in terms of open data, so that we can leverage the potential of the data that we are collecting and that we have in our servers. For example, if I take the case of Senegal, INSD is the main structure for data collection. We have a lot of survey and census, and all those data are in our server and are not well valorized. So we are working with the different stakeholders in the ecosystem, whether it be the researchers or the private sector, etc., so that we can put our data more accessible for them so that they can use it for different questions. So we have also the open data platform in INSD, the open data for Senegal. And INSD is the structure that plays the key role of data governance in the national statistical system. So we gather all the data from the different structure of the national statistical system in our ODP, the open data platform, that is accessible for all public. We have a lot of data set in this platform for the territorial authorities, for example, but also for the public, so that we will have more participation and more valorization of our data sets. So those are the main points in terms of innovation in INSD within the Data Innovation Lab and the Open Data Platform. Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much, Mamadou. Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm wondering if you are hearing me. But
yes, I can hear you loud and clear. Thank you very much for this brief presentation about ANSD and what the open data platform in Senegal is providing. I'm sure collection of data is a huge field that the governments are still lacking the resources, the capacities to deal with. I will go right away to Dr. Diallo as the lead administrator of WASCAL's open data infrastructure. How do you see open data contributing to transparency, collaboration, and innovation in climate research and sustainable development? I believe you have a presentation to show us. So I'll hand over to you so that you can go through your presentation in a maximum of 5 or 8 minutes or so.
Okay, thank you for giving me flow. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay. So thank you again for the invitation, for all the organizations that are involved in this. I think this is a very good idea to help us solve the data issues you have in Africa. So as you can see the title, we are trying to look at the innovations that WASCAL has been putting into place in the field of AI, IoT, ICT, capacity building, and stakeholders engagement in order to advance data transparency and governance in Africa. A quick presentation about WASCAL. As I said quickly, WASCAL headquarters in Accra, and we have an office, a scientific office for research in Ouaga. And I'm glad that my director, Professor Gunjobe, is online with me today to also participate in this webinar. Thank you for your support. So as you can see, WASCAL is really fully integrated into a country. We have a ministerial council where we have 12 ministers involved in the management of WASCAL, overseeing everything. We have government board and other things. So I will quickly just introduce to you what we are doing as a research center. We conduct research scientific exchange. We develop and deliver climate and environmental services. Of course, we provide accessibility to data and equipment to deal with data. And we, of course, fundraise and also build networks. First of our innovation is that we have a very strong infrastructure for data collection, an integrated one. And I believe that in West Africa, it is quite rare to see such kind of integrated data infrastructure. We have, first of all, because we are in climate change, we have observation networks composed of 3 mesoscale observatories and transboundary regional observatory networks, where we have donated to the countries a total of 110 hydrometeorological equipment to collect the data and send it to our platforms. So this is for the ground data. So we also have a GIS, a remote sensing lab, to complement the ground data with satellite data. And then all this data then is harvested and then stored and managed in what we call WADIREP, which is another component of this infrastructure. And then you have your data, you have manage them, you need to use them to develop models, to develop simulations about climate change. And then we have a strong infrastructure, a high performance computing system, HPC, that will help us compute and simulate the data. And then we also have initiated data science and AIoT lab. We have just launched our AIoT Fab Lab a few months ago, back in 2024, and have developed a set of IoT sensors that we believe will be available for the public to purchase or to use to test for us. We believe in this, and we think that this is also another way for us to be able to provide data traceability, data transparency, of course, data governance, when the data are generated from your end-to-end platforms, so we have a better understanding of it. The AI aspect of it is to help you to know when you collect data, you have always gaps, you have always some errors from maybe the equipment, from the sensors. So it helps to develop models, very strong models that you can trust, that can help you to automate the collection of the data. And the IoT aspect of it, of course, is also to help you monitor the data end to end, and also put some few policies on it. We have a last component that is not yet established that we call for a customers lab, but this one is for modeling and will come soon, I expect so. You can see that we are really engaged also in open access. We have been organizing open data days for climate data with the regional office of WMO located in Nigeria. And we are trying to bring the national meteorology agencies on board to accept, at least looking at the possibility of bringing the data. And I think we have good perspective. We are still battling, but hope that this will help us make the data more available to all of the stakeholders. We are also issuing now DUIs for a better management of the data, a better transparency of the data, and a better accessibility of data with regards to the FAIR principles: findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable. So WASCAL is a member of data sites that allows us then to issue the DUIs. So this is what we call DUADI, this integrated WASCAL data infrastructure. And we are developing under a project that we are currently conducting called Cycles. We are trying to put into place a very important innovation that I'll present later, which is called WeDataMind. We stand for West African Distributed Data and Metadata Infrastructure Networks for Data Discovery and Dissemination. We have discovered that we have a set of institutions that are having data, but we don't even know the existence of this data. So this is a problem of data accessibility because we'll be maybe going again on the field to again collect the same data that maybe already exists, leading to waste of time, need of efforts, and all these things. So we believe that it's better we bring all the stakeholders, data players in West Africa at least, on board on this platform, and this is what we're trying also to do. A quick another innovation is that we have international technical scientific expertise on climate data observation systems, and we can see here some of our activities and how far these are distributed across West Africa. We have another innovation pillar, which is the collaboration with West African National Hydro and Meteorological Services and agencies, to which I was telling you just a few minutes ago that we have donated more than 100 equipment, and we are signing MOUs. So this is about data governance, data policy, and this is also another way to ensure that data can be trusted between the stakeholders and providing the right policies for the right data sharing. And this with the data initiative I was talking about is really in university to construct a network around data managers, data providers, data users, so that we can more interact, see a way to facilitate access to the data, at least facilitate access to the information on existing data set at least. And we believe that this is doable, and we are trying to do it. I think I will maybe later on, maybe another chance if you organize and invite me to another webinar to let you know the update about this initiative, or even we can call you also to participate to one of our webinars that we're going to organize. What's specificity also is that we have a strong capacity building network across West Africa. You can see here, we have 2 graduate programs, 12 graduate programs on climate change and something like climate change, agriculture, climate change, and informatics, climate change, and economy, all these things across West Africa. And we also have now 4 new graduate programs on renewable energy and green hydrogen across West Africa. So all these things are allowing our students, our scientists, our collaborators to be aware of the importance of data transparency, aware of the importance of data policies, and be aware, of course, of the importance of data sharing, because as scientists, we know that if you do not share with data, you don't have access to the data from others. Another one that I would quickly add is that we have been championing the possibility of Africans to develop locally very professional and good quality made in Africa sustainable IoT sensors. You know that when it comes to electronic devices, most of the time we are depending upon importing equipment, and this ends up with a high cost when we want to procure this equipment, and end up with depending on maintenance and expertise from providers. And then this is not easy for West African at least, or Africans in general, to cope with on the field. And it doesn't allow us to densify the network, because it ends up costing a lot. So we have been developing a set of sensors, and we'll be glad to showcase them when it's ready. Some of them are already under test. We have a very advanced end goals. We have also some equipment monitoring and saving electricity consumption, another one on biodigester, another one on water management. A set of them are already ongoing and under test even. But this is not the purpose of this today's presentation. I will not take much time, but here I want just to highlight that we will be able to convince at least 2 projects to fund us to make these locally made equipment alive. So we have Pro-Farm 4 funded by Canada, where we are developing a kind of locally made weather stations. We already have started with Raincoast that's really working. And are also looking at other projects like Trans-Sahara. We're also going to develop this kind of IoT to be able to really support African countries with the needed equipment in the context where we are living. The last one that I want quickly, with your permission, to show is this Huasca Regional IoT Fab Lab. We are really having a set of trainings, because a set of equipment that helps students, scientists to come on board and be able to learn how to develop this equipment. I had a video, but I believe I will stop here and go back to your questions, comments, feedback. I'll be glad to share with you later on the link to the video so that you can look at it. So thank you very much again. This is the QR code of the video for those that want to quickly go and check it online. Thank you again for giving me the floor, and back to you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Diallo. That's for this presentation and for showing what WASCAL is doing. I'm very curious to know how WASCAL is collaborating with government agencies to ensure that the data collection that you are doing aligns with the national policies in the different sectors that you are working on, climate and environmental and agricultural governance. It would be great to hear and to know more about this from you. Dr. Diallo, can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, I will be glad to respond to your questions. But of course, we have a lot of collaboration with the national, international, and regional institutions. I mentioned national hydro services, national metro services. We have also ministries that are working with us, Ministry for Agri, Ministry of Environment, a set of national institutions. We are also regional ones like WACREN, or like SIS, like Agrimet. Yes. So we have to discuss many times about with data sharing aspects. Some of them are working, of course, others are having some challenges, but it's part of experience. It's part of life.
That's good. That's good to know. Thank you very much, Dr. Diallo. It would be helpful for all our participants to get access to the video, to know more about what WASCAL is doing and the different initiatives that are put in place. We'd be happy to share the link of the video in the chat box. The tech team can support on this. If you can share it with my colleague Angèle, and she can support in sharing it with all participants in the chat box. Thank you very much. For all our speakers today, for sharing their experience, their knowledge, and especially their insights about how to enhance transparency and accountability in data governance through data collection, through the use of data and data protection, but also how to make sure that citizens are involved and included in the policy processes, but also in providing feedback and interactions involved in the policy development processes with the governments through open data governments and through open data platforms that are put in place in different African countries, especially the West African countries, which was the focus of most of the paper of Victor and Renato. Same also to know what Morocco is doing, what South Africa is doing. It's also important to get through the policy brief on transparency and accountability, to know more about how these principles contribute to build the trust of people and citizens. I'm sure maybe some of you have questions or you have some thoughts to share. If you have a question, I think you can have the floor. And if you have difficulties in turning on your mic, please let us know, and our tech team will support on this. So I'll open the floor for questions, interactions to the audience, and I would like to see some hands are raised in the platform.
Yusra, just to also let you know, I'll be checking the chat section in case there are any comments or questions in there, and I'll be bringing them to your attention.
That would be helpful. Thanks, Rachel.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Just also mention that I have shared the link to the video in the chat, so people can go and play with it.
Great. Thank you very much, Dr. Diallo. I think everyone can have access to that and they can share it. I saw also some of the interactions in the chat box. Unfortunately, the person who shared about their initiatives, the data dashboard, which was doing in 27 African countries and 12 countries in Latin America, left the meeting, but he also shared his email address and the link to the data dashboard, so that we have access to it, and for everyone who is interested, he can also have a look at that. My colleagues also share the link for the policy brief so that you can also visit through the Africa Data Governance Hub. I see a hand raised. Please go ahead, Mr. Aziz.
Yes, it's me.
It's you. Sorry.
Yes, in fact, since the participants
I
are
can't see.
quiet, since we are quiet, I have a question.
Yes, please.
I was a speaker, of course, but my question is towards the open charter. I cannot remember the full name, but this is a new name to me. While though I have been working in West Africa with a quite good number of institutions involved in open data, so I wanted to know more about what is this open charter is and what are you doing and maybe what we can do together. Thank you.
Sure, I can answer. Yeah, so I should go ahead. Okay. Thank you so much for the question. I was also really paying attention to your work because it's related to climate data. So that's really interesting, and also all the infrastructure side of the work on data sharing that you were sharing. Just to let you know about the organization, Open Data Charter was actually in the beginning a charter with 6 principles of open data, where different governments were. It was born really close to the Open Government Partnership, and then we became an organization. We are a really small organization, but we work globally. We have some experience in Africa, but most of us are from Latin America, so we have like more implementations there. And what we mainly do, we have 2 areas. We have a network of governments, both national and subnational, that adopt the charter and commit themselves with the 6 principles. So we do a follow-up. We meet once a month with our implementation working group to discuss specific topics around open data, and we try to see how the people that are part of the charter are evolving in their open data policies. So we work in a general level, but we have an implementation area and a research area. And from the implementation area, we have like our signature tool that I call the Open Up Guides, where we provide a benchmarking of different standards in specific topics and key data sets that should be open in each topic and in which formats. And also we do a benchmarking of different reutilization and impact processes. So nowadays we have an Open Up Guide on anti-corruption, an Open Up Guide on climate action that it could be really interesting for us to talk with you, and maybe I can share the guide with you and also get to know a little bit more about your work, because climate action is like a really core topic for us, and I was really interested in your work. And also we have an Open Up Guide in land information and in gender information. So those are like the core topics. And from the other side, from the research area, that is more it's the area that I coordinate. We try to explore new tendencies, and we try to make connections between open data and new topics like digital rights, the dialogue with data protection, and how open data is feeding or can be useful for AI systems. So we generate research, and we try to help our network of governments and civil society organizations to better understand the new topics in the global context. So yes, I'll be happy to talk with you, because climate action, I think it's a core topic nowadays. Thank you so much.
Good. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Renato, Dr. Diallo. I see Ogunjobi, your hand is raised.
Yes, good afternoon or good morning, good evening to you wherever you are all over the world. My name is Kehinde Ogunjobi, and I want to congratulate you and also thank all the presenters for the fantastic presentation. We've been so excited to be part of this webinar. My colleague, Dr. Diallo Belko, we are together in Wasco. So I'm actually the director of the center together with Dr. Diallo. So my question is having listened to you, I want to know your experience in actually executing this open data policy within your organization. I think Bereno did mention that you're a small organization. So my question is, are you generating the data like we do in WASCAL, or you are depending on national agencies that are mandated by the WMO in generating climate data? Because we had a kind of a memorandum of understanding with national meteorological agencies in all West African member countries to see how we can assess their data, and also possibility of preaching to them to make the data open. But Bereno, you know that this is a tall order. It's been difficult for us to achieve. Now that you are preaching openness, transparency in data, what is your experience? Are you depending on only your data generated by your institution, or you are collaborating with national institutions like the Meteorological Agency, Hydrological Agency in generating and making open the data? What's your experience? Maybe you can share from us, and then we can learn lessons from you. Thank you.
Yeah, great question. Thank you so much for asking that. No, we don't generate our own data. We work with the government directly and with civil society organizations that are locals of the government we are working with, because they better understand each topic. We work in different topics, as I was saying, like gender and care economy, anti-corruption, climate action. So we associate ourselves with local civil society organizations that better understand the context, the needs, and the regulatory framework, and we work with the government. And it's we are generally funded by international cooperation, so that's how we function. And what we take to the project is our open up guide on climate action with the key data sets that the Paris Agreement says that should be open. But we, of course, that once we understand the regulatory context of each country and the data that is available and what's the state of that data, we adapt the guide for each implementation. But yes, it's like we work helping and advocating, but we are not data generators. And also when we work in research, we have recently, it's not published yet, but for example, we have recently worked on trying to understand the data needs of AI projects working on agriculture in Latin America and Africa. And some of them were generating their own data in the ground, but some of them were also using like public open repositories. So we do the research. We don't generate the data, but we do a mapping of what's existence and what's the quality and what can be, and with some proposals and recommendations. I'm going to share in the chat now our climate action page with all the resources and implementations, and then we can keep the conversation going.
Thank you so very much for the response. Quite satisfactory.
Thank you very much. I don't see any hands are raised. I don't know if anyone else have questions, interventions, any thought that you want to share, or showcase any initiative that you want to talk about, so that it becomes known from all the participants here. So yes, Dr. Diallo, I see your hand is raised.
Yes. Okay. This is an opportunity to me to really know more about organizations that are dealing with data and open data in Africa. And I was glad to hear I have a colleague from Senegal. I wanted to know how far is open the statistical data in Senegal? We know in Burkina and other countries how it is, but I want to know because no government opening data is not always easy from our experience. I have heard him talking, so maybe he can specifically enlighten us on this specific issue. How far is the data open in your institution? Thank you.
Madam Maimouna, do you want to answer the question?
I think I don't know if the guy from INSD was there. He was on the call or he left. The one who was talking about the data innovation lab in the agency, specific agency. But to answer your question, yes, I think the agency is kind of champion on open data in Senegal. When I was at the ministry in charge of digital and I was the director of ICT, I started with open initiative in Senegal with a word box. And I think the most responsive agency I had was the statistics agency. And they put up a platform, they really move forward and they're very, very open. And they are very, very open. The data is open in an open format and they are moving forward. I don't know if that is answered.
I'm not sure I'm hearing you well, but I can guess that it's open.
Yes, it is. The data are available.
So we'll have to you, maybe to NIYEL that invited me, but we have to talk. Thank you.
You're welcome. And also we're working, I do not want to go deep in that because it's a project. We're working to set up a data lab. It's data hub in Senegal with agriculture. And I think it can be interesting for you also. If you share your contact with me, I will connect you with those people who are working on it. I think it can be interesting for you. They're working on agriculture and environment and so forth. And it's a really nice project. Thank you.
Great. I think we chose the right people as speakers in this webinar. They were looking for each other, and we facilitated this great meeting, I think, with them. So this is actually great to hear, and we're very excited and looking forward to joint collaboration between the different organizations that are present here, Open Data Charter, the WASCAL, the government's institutions as well. I think that's the main objective and purpose of this kind of conversations, to create synergies and areas of collaboration and conversations, which I'm sure this one is not the last one. And it's not the only one that is happening, but I'm sure it's also part of a huge dialogue on data governance as African governments are given priority to data nowadays with all the technologies development, AI, the chain box, everything that is running. And I think we're trying to keep up with all the evolution that is happening across the globe, but also across Africa. Thank you very much. I think, ladies and gentlemen, we come to an end to our conversation. I would like to say thanks to all of our speakers today who gave us a very pretty understanding of interventions about data governance and transparency, accountability, in flow of its progress, challenges and opportunities and initiatives. And we can say like some of the best practices in West Africa that were showcased in today's conversation. Hopefully this was beneficial for everybody. And I don't know if anyone else has any question or any interaction that I want to come in. And if not, I will hand over a few few minutes for our speakers to give a last word. If you have something else to share, or if you want to come in. So Renato, Victor, Maimouna, Dr. Diallo, Mamadou, over to you, whoever wants to come in.
Okay, let me start then. The room is quiet. I don't like when the room is quiet. So I would like to first commend you for this initiative. I think this is the first one from what I have read. So I wish you a good continuation into this. And I would like to suggest something, which is the sharing of addresses. I think you have all the email addresses of the speakers. It would be a good idea to share them with us so that we can continue with discussion off screen and maybe be able to construct a good network together. So keep your things doing well, and we look forward to more collaboration. We will also be inviting you to have a seminar. Webinars are going to organize at Wascar's site. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Just super quick sentence to end, but thank you for the space. It was great to share with the different speakers and learn more about the situation in Senegal, and also this interesting project on climate data, and especially also hearing about the data sharing. I think that, well, you can check out the brief that it's in the chat. I think there are a lot of challenges, but there are also, we managed to show also some already existing cases of good practices. So I think that with collaboration and trying to work on the enforcement and the dialogue between the regional and the national regulations, we can move forward on these topics. So there already exists some good practices and good examples. So that I think there are big challenges, but also there are big lessons already learned. So thank you so much.
Yeah, for me, I say I'm grateful for this opportunity and this platform to discuss this policy brief that I worked on with Renato, and also hoping if there's any comments and feedback on how we can better the work that we did as well. We are really open to to receiving that from everyone. And it was interesting to listen from other initiatives, and happy to see a lot of people from different places in Africa working towards a common goal of ensuring transparency and accountability in the continent. And this is, I think, what we need for our continent. And I'm happy for this initiative. Yeah.
Yeah, a very big thanks to all of you, NIYEL and Pollicy, and also to our experts, Renato and Victor, for this the great work, and congratulations also, Mr. Diallo, for what you're doing. And Geoffrey, it was very great to have this session and to share with all the stakeholders. I'm very, very happy to share with you and continue sharing with your clients. And yeah, thanks a lot to NIYEL for being part of this exercise, the part as a board member for the last 2 years, and happy and look forward to next session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Renato, Victor, Dr. Diallo, Madame Maimouna. Thank you very much for all your interventions. I'm not sure if Mamadou is still here with us. I can see his name in the participants list, but if not, that would be fine. So we will share the email addresses of different speakers among yourselves, so that you can also take up this beyond this conversation and explore any areas of collaboration that it would be helpful to you. I would like to call my colleague Angèle, and I'm sorry to throw you under the bus, but I would like to call Angèle to introduce to us very briefly the next webinars, the next conversations that we are having for the next 3 or 4 weeks, if I'm not mistaken. Angèle, Can you come in? I'll hand over to you. I'm not sure if you can turn on your mic though. Yeah, okay, great, you're here.
So hello everybody. I've been behind all this. Thank you so much. Thank you all for your time and your participation in this webinar. So I just wanted to announce that this is the third webinar of a series called the Africa Data Dialogue, and we will have every Thursday until the first week of April, every Thursday a webinar on different topics. I will send the link on, I will put the link on, the policy team put the link on the chat already. And the next one will be on gender data and gender perspective. And I really hope that you will join us for this insightful discussion.
Thank you very much, Angel. Thank also to our partner and collaborators, the policy team, Philip, Rachel, and our technical team also behind the screen. I really hope that this conversation was beneficial for everybody. Don't hesitate to read the policy brief that Victor and Renato wrote through visiting the Africa Data Governance Hub website, which is also in the chat box. And I would say stay tuned for our next conversations. Thank you very much, everyone. And I wish you a great evening. And with this, we close the meeting. Thank you.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.